So today we're going to talk a little bit about the lymphatic system. First of all, what is the lymphatic system? Do you even know? The majority of people know about the lymphatic system because they know they have lymph nodes, and they know that their lymph nodes swell when they're sick. That is only a small portion of your whole entire lymphatic system. So you have this whole system that runs throughout your body called the lymphatic system, and it works in tandem with your nervous system and your circulatory system. It runs down the same similar pathways. So where there's arteries and veins, there's a lymphatic vessel. Now, what does this thing do? So between your cells, you've got space, and in that space is fluid. And when it's between your cells, it's called interstitial fluid. And when that fluid moves from between your cells into a lymphatic vessel, it's called lymph. And when it comes from your bloodstream, it's called plasma. So it's basically all the same fluid, it's just where it's living in your body at any given time. Now, your lymphatic system will pick up that interstitial fluid, which will have all of the waste from your cells, and it will bring it through your lymphatic system, concentrate it through your lymph nodes, do the whole immunity response, clean the garbage out, and it will concentrate it, and then your lymph gets dumped back into your circulatory system up near your collarbones. Now, why do we need to give it a jump start? There's a couple of reasons. So the first reason is you might have had some version of damage, and that could be to your lymphatic system specifically. Maybe you were born with a dysfunctional lymphatic system. Maybe you sit in an office all the time and you've chronically blocked off some of those vessels, and so now they have trouble with the passage of fluid through them. Or maybe you sprained your ankle and there's no issue at all with your lymphatic system, but there's a huge response from your body bringing all of that extra fluid to the area to protect you. Now, your lymphatic system also does not have its own pump. If you think about the circulatory system, you have your heart, and it pumps the blood through your entire body. Your lymphatic system doesn't have that. It's just vessels with fluid. So how does this fluid move? Well, there's a couple of ways. One, it bases itself on a suction. So it's got kind of little bubbles along a chain, and when this bubble closes, this one fills above it. And when this one closes, it'll suction from the bottom, pulling up into this vessel, little bubble, and then so on and so forth up the chain. One of the ways that we can cause this suction to happen is muscular movement. So the contraction of your muscles actually contracts these vessels, and so then you're going to be putting that pressure in certain areas and loosening it on others, and so you get that suction movement. Small movements like the pulsing of arteries, your heartbeat, movements of joints, things like that, will all help your lymphatic system to move properly. Now, when, for example, you have some stagnation and there's no exercise that's getting rid of it, there's no rest, there's no elevation, things like that, then an external force needs to be used. So those were all internal forces. Then we need to bring in an external force. External forces can be things like compression stockings for those people whose legs or arms swell up. It can also be something called manual lymph drainage. Now, manual lymph drainage is a technique where we use our hands to change the pressure and the direction of our skin movement. And by doing that, we're stimulating we're stimulating that suction effect. And once we stimulate the suction effect of the more superficial vessels, that is a systemic effect on the whole body and will actually bring those deeper vessels into play as well, bringing the suction up from there. Now, how do you do it? Because you can't always go to visit a massage therapist or somebody else, maybe a physio who's taken the course, to get this done. Also, you might need it done more regularly and you might not be able to afford to see somebody that often. So I'm going to walk you through a little manual lymph drainage prime the pump situation. So as I just said, the lymphatic system, if you affect one area, you affect the whole thing. Ideally, if you have a particular area that's damaged, let's say going back to the sprained ankle, if you want to work with your sprained ankle, ideally you go and you get treatment on that ankle. But any properly trained manual lymphatic drainage therapist will still always start by priming the pump, and that's going to be up here. So that I could show you how to do by yourself. So, if you remember, I told you that the lymphatic system dumps back in by your collarbones. So if you don't know where your collarbones are, come to kind of the center of your chest, right near the top, and just come out. And you'll probably feel some little bumps here. Collarbone is right across. Now, if you tip up here beside your neck, you can see there's sort of a triangle here. So the front of the triangle is the collarbone. This side of the triangle is your neck, and the back side of the triangle is actually your trapezius muscle. So there's sort of like a little indent here. And some people it's incredibly prominent, others not as much. And it's not good or bad, it's just the way you were built. So what you're gonna do is just in that triangle, very, very, very gently, like if you can see, I'm touching, but I'm not pushing, okay? So you're touching skin. You're never pushing with manual lymphatic drainage. I personally find it easier to come across to the opposite side when I'm doing it on myself, but it's entirely up to you. You can also come same side and do both at the same time. So you're in that little triangle, and you're just taking the skin, moving it kind of forward as if you're just like sliding down a ski slope here, okay? So you're just taking the skin and doing a little gentle stroking. And if you can see, I'm just kind of, when I get to that collarbone, I'm just letting the skin release. And then you do that on both sides, because we always do both sides. In manual lymphatic drainage, we like to work in 5s. So 5 strokes, take a very short break, 5 strokes. And so then when you've done both sides, however many sets you want. So the more the better. I wouldn't say just do 1 set and you're good. I would say do at least 2, if not 3, 4, 5 plus, depending on what kind of swelling you're dealing with. But you do your prime the pump area right here. And then we come up to our neck. So now this is a lot easier to do at the same time, one versus the other. So you're just kind of below the edge, the angle of your jaw there. And you're just doing little circles. Again, we're not pushing, we're just touching. So my circle looks like this. I'm gently bringing back and down, back and down. And my last portion of the circle, where I'm kind of coming back forward, I'm not putting any pressure whatsoever. My hands are coming off of my skin, but there's no movement of the skin. I'm following the skin back. 4, 5. And then you come down. So now, depending on the size of your hands and the size of your neck, You might be overlapping quite a bit in position 1 versus position 2, and that's okay. Then you're doing the exact same thing in position 2. Just back and down. You can also come forward. Find what feels better to you, both to do and to experience. If you're noticing that your skin starts moving more pliably, that's a sign you're doing things well. You might not notice a difference though, so if you don't notice it, don't panic, you're not doing it wrong. Okay, so spot 1, spot 2, spot 3. Now, I'm going to teach you one more trick on how to increase your lymphatic drainage in your body, and that's going to be the armpit. Okay, your armpits drain a lot of lymphatic fluid. If you know, right, breast cancer, they have lots of lymph nodes that they got to look at in here. So there's a lot of lymphatic load that passes through here. So if we're priming this, it's going to help the whole body. So to do that, I just kind of have my hand on my hip. It might be easier to do this one laying down, but it just doesn't really matter. As long as you're not like holding your shoulder stiff and it's able to rest, you'll be good. So again, flat hand right in the armpit here, and you're going to kind of bring down and then almost like cup the armpit and pull back into it. You're not coming back up like this, you're just in the armpit. Okay, so you're kind of down into the armpit and just kind of grab like that. And then let go. Down, grab. Down, grab. Down, grab. Now, you can do 3 spots in your armpit. Very difficult to do spot 1 on yourself, but you can have somebody else do it for you, the exact same motion. So you're coming down into the armpit, grab, up. Okay, so that's spot 1. This is spot 2 that I've been demonstrating. Pardon me. And spot 3 is just more along the side of the rib cage or the breast, whatever anatomy you have. So again, you're just kind of coming down towards the armpit and then squishing in towards the rib cage there. And just notice how I'm releasing that tissue. And there you have it. That is how you can do manual lymphatic drainage on yourself to increase the ability for your lymphatic system to function at its best. If you ever have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. And if you need more clarification, let me know that too.